It's the intermission. I'm fly, self-stepping intervention. I'm paving the way if you pay attention. I get flyer than a flight attendant. You ain't on the way, mind your business. But we on the way, we surfing in it. Ain't trying to maintain, we breaking limits. They study our game, we walking timbers. Hey, hey, we on the way, we on the way. We ain't trying to maintain, we trying to get to the get to the get to the get to the get to the.
At the age of 19, Malique Hawkins is just getting started. A clean rapper, the voiceover for a major toy manufacturer. Malique Hawkins' star is rising as he wraps up his role in a major Hollywood film where he plays George Price, a runaway slave leading his people from shackles to freedom. Please keep your eyes out for this film, Hope of Escape. From the movie set to entering his junior year at North Carolina A&T, where Malique will be majoring in business and entrepreneurship. Malique says to his young viewers, never stand around and wait. You take the first step. From the movie set to voiceovers, to speaking engagements, to entrepreneurship, and a self-proposed clean rapper, Malique Hawkins, his star is rising. Welcome to another episode of Talking with Kevin and Son. And I will have to say this to my listeners. I didn't go into a lot of detail because we recorded a couple episodes without my son. Both my son and I had experienced COVID in April of 2020. Both of us have some after effects. I just got notification just before we aired today that my son is back in the hospital. So I'm going to ask to say a prayer for Theo McLemore, my co-host. But the show must go on. Today, we have a very, very special guest. Matter of fact, we got two special guests. If I was to say the creator and the end results of what was created, I'm going to tell you, you guys are going to be blown away. When you talk about two people you should know, these are two people, when you see them, you should shake their hand and take some of that energy. Today's episode is brought to you by RMK Productions, 10 United, the podcast network. Through the power of story, our mission is to uplift, to inspire, to share stories and experience through perspective using the framework of teaching, learning, and modeling. Our purpose is to create hope, helping other people every day. Now, to my listeners that are driving to work, sitting at home, multitasking, I want you to think about this. We all have our why. As adults, we learn. As a child, we make our mistakes. And sometimes on both ends, we ask why. And then we learn and we grow. And sometimes we learn and we make more mistakes. And we all hope that one day we'll all get it right. And I'm going to tell you, I have two special people here that have probably gone through the ups and downs. I have two people here that have probably know what their why is and what their purpose is. And they're just getting it right. Today, I have a young man, okay, that's going to be showcased. He's probably heard this before, and hopefully I'm the first. When I look at him, God, he's a good looking man. And then when I look at his mother, I know where it came from. When I look how he carries himself, and I see pictures of his father and listens to the way his mother talks about his father, I know where he's been grounded. So we also know what's been taught and what's caught. I like to say he's a motivational speaker, but that's not true. He's a professional risk taker. We call that an entrepreneur. I like to say that he is a movie star. No, he's an example to his community, and he just has a story to tell, and that's only the beginning. I would also like to say he has a personal connection with his faith, and his faith connects him to his community. And I'd like to go ahead and cut this introduction short and introduce you to two very special people. First, I'm a Southern boy at heart, so I'm going to introduce his mother, Miss Keisha Hawkins. And then I'm going to introduce the seed that is growing, and not as only growing in a field of dreams, it is growing on a global basis. Clean rapper, motivational speaker, entrepreneur, citizen, student at a historically Black college and university out of 107. He picked one of ours, out of 5,300 universities he could have gone to. He took his talent to where he's going to be best represented. Clean rapper, the next Denzel Washington, Malique Hawkins. All right, all right. Welcome to Talking with Kevin
Thank you.
and
Glad to
Son.
be here.
I'm glad to have you. Now I'm going to ask you two questions. And I know for a fact you two have never been asked this question before. I'm going to ask you to close your eyes and look in the back of your mind. All right, Malique, you have been honored with the award of Best Talent coming up at BET Awards. You have received your first Grammy. You have also on the stage, because you have a movie that you co-starred in, Best Supporting New Actor on the Oscar stage. You're standing on stage right now. You get a chance to go ahead and give your roses to the people that made you who you are, who supported you. Can you give me an idea of what you would say? The Oscar now goes to Mr. Malique Hawkins.
Thank you so much for this acknowledgement. But I would definitely say that my speech would, first of all, give glory to God and thanks to God. Second, to my parents for the foundation that they set. And beyond that, to all of my friends, especially the ones that are more like family to me anyway, that have been supporting me along the way, going to shows, going to movie premieres, reposting things that I've asked them to repost, or even things that I didn't ask them to repost, just to show their support, even if it's from a distance. And yeah, I think those are the main people that I would have to give credit to.
All right, all right, all right. Miss Hawkins, Mrs. Hawkins, you are now have the honor and the privilege, because Malique is on tour and he's filming his next movie that he just wrote, co-produced, and he's also directing his first film. And the film that he just finished, he is now being awarded his Oscar, and you and your husband are standing on stage in order to speak for Malique Hawkins. What would your speech be? Go ahead and give him his roses.
Wow. I would probably be crying, probably, because I've been waiting for this day forever. But I would definitely thank God, because without him, this whole entire journey would not be where we are today. I would actually tell him I'm proud of him, because he's a hard worker. He definitely follows my motto that I've had for my life: persistence overrides resistance. And just thank all of those who have loved on us, supported us, just been behind him every step of the way, pretty much.
All right. And it's amazing, because I said this at the top of this show, is that we are connected through this universe. And it's strange. People may not believe that, but I get a feeling every single time I meet someone that it's meant to be. My grandfather had always said that God puts two people into the same space for a reason. And it takes a fool to walk away without saying hello. I want both of you guys to turn towards each other and look around and look at the poster you have on the wall. Okay. See, I told you, it's meant to be. Your future is already destined. When I say you're gonna be the next young Denzel Washington, people are gonna want to know your story. And I know your story began, Malique, when you were 8, 9 years old. Can you kind of go ahead and kind of share with our listeners, because they're dying to find out, one, clean rapper, dying to find out as a teenager and a youth entrepreneur, and dying to find out how you stood on stage and won an award as a motivational speaker, and how you turned the pages of what motivational speaker is all about. Malique, go ahead. It's your time.
All right, so I would say that, yes, part of my story was I began motivational speaking at 8 or 9 years old, but my story really began at 18 months old when I started acting. So I've been in the entertainment industry as a whole since I was actually 18 months old, starting with TV shows, going on to commercials, movies, print work, things of that nature. So I've really been in the industry basically all of my life. But I remember being about 5 or 6 years old, and that's when I really said, like, this was my dream. I wanted to be on the big screen. I wanted to be in movies, feature films, et cetera, et cetera. But going on to when I was 8 or 9 years old, it is when I began motivational speaking, or dropping gems. I wouldn't necessarily say motivational speaking, but being able to drop gems to people and being able to connect with people and giving them something that they can take with them. So that actually began with me doing a Martin Luther King Jr. Day competition when I was I guess 8 or 9 years old. And I didn't even win the contest, but I won fan favorite, which I guess just showed me from a young age that I was able to connect with people and able to leave a mark using my words. Even though I didn't win the contest by the judges' standards, the crowd chose me as a fan favorite regardless. And so that was the beginning of that. And from there, I guess I just fell in love with being able to stand on stage and using my words to be able to connect people and connect people to me and vice versa. So that's where it all started. And from there, it's gone on to, wait, do you want me to talk about everything now or just the motivational speaking?
No, believe it or not, I want to start off because I'm going to tell you, I have been at auditions and had to read copy and had to compete, you know, stand in line with 34 guys that look just like me. You're talking about you got your big break at 18 months old. How did you get to the audition? Okay, where did the audition come from? And I'm going to direct this to your mom, because if you tell me that you were standing up reading copy at 18 months old, I'm going to fall out of my chair. So Miss Keisha, how did that start? How did you put him into a world that is selfless, that is thankless, and that is just tough, you know, for people? And how did you, what was your motivation behind that? 18 months.
So when he was a baby, people used to always say, "Oh, he's so cute. He's so cute. He should be in commercials." And so finally, when he was 17 months old, I decided I would just go take him to get some pictures done and submit them to a local agency just to see what would happen. So when he was 18 months old, there was an audition for FBI Files. The episode was called The Killing Zone. And so basically they were looking for a family to put together to portray the mother being killed and the baby actually not being able to get her mother to respond. So my first question was, is he going to see his mother be killed? Because at 18 months old, that wasn't something I wanted him to experience.
Right.
So when they told me no, he would be in another room, like when that part happens for the film, because, you know, when they make these reenactments, of course, the people who they're doing the stories on aren't here to tell their story. So
Right.
they have to hire talent in order to be able to do that. So once I found out exactly how it was going to go down, I said, okay, well, I think he can do it. You know, he understood at a very early age what you were talking about. People would carry on conversations with him, and he was able to actually talk back to us. And so that's how I knew he was definitely gifted, although he was born 2 months early. You never know what's going to happen in those situations, but he was far, far advanced by a long shot. So he went on set, and he had to cry on cue. And he did it. He did it. And my husband and I said, what in the world? You know, there was a joke that people would say they must have pinched him or something for him to be crying, because we actually have footage where he is like bawling. He is really crying. So after that experience, I told my husband, I said, I think we have something here. We probably need to continue to keep him in this. And so we did. And like he said, around 5 years old, when he could really understand what he was doing and what he wanted, he said, Mom, I want to be on the big screen. You know, I want to do this. I want to do that. And so I decided that while he did have an agent, I was going to step into my momager role and start submitting him myself, because of course, no one is going to work for your child as hard as you are. And so I just started hitting social media and sending out emails and sending his pictures around. And as time went on, while his agents was booking him for things, I was booking him for things too. So I had to learn how to talk the lingo for the business, how to negotiate his contracts. And up to this point, he's now 19 and he wants to get rid of me, but I'm not going anywhere. So here we are.
That's all right. It amazes me because a lot of times as adults, we kind of overlook opportunities, especially with our child. And we have a tendency to follow the norm. Let's just get your education. We walk around. Let's go ahead and make sure that, you know, you have a connection with your faith. But there's a divine intervention when a mother looks at her child and says, look, I've got something here. I got something special. I went through a similar situation when I knew at 8 or 9 years old, and this is the reason why I was so excited about this, because people always say, well, how did you know you're going to do this? And I said, I've known ever since I was 8, 9 years old in the 3rd grade that I was different, that I was special. I always had people telling me, and I'm going to tell this to you, Malique, you've got greatness within you. You know, the world's not ready for you. And just remember, the world's not ready for you. You got to go out and get them ready for you. All right. So, did you have to fill out a W-2 at 18 months, Malik?
It's a lot of paperwork.
Yeah.
Definitely, he has to have the child protective stuff all in place. We had to open a certain special bank account so that as he went up, the chain, especially for projects in New York, you had to show proof. So it's a lot of work that goes behind the scenes. He has no idea. He just had to show up and do what he did to get paid.
All right.
But mom and dad had to do all the behind the scenes stuff to make sure that he was ready and everything was in its proper place in order for him to even be able to show up and do what he does or
All
did.
right. So Malik, fast forward, we're going to grow you up a little bit. Your first major role, and correct me if I'm wrong, was a movie called Troop 419. Is that right?
491.
491. All right. Okay. Tell me a little bit about the character you played, the audition process, and after the film was over, what was the impact or the feeling you left after you had wrapped in from the movie?
So Troop 491 is probably a top 3 project I worked on in my whole life. It was the first, like me personally, when I'm older and I want to make my own movie or something of that nature, it's going to be some Black boys. I don't know if they're going to be in middle school, high school, or college, but it's going to be following some Black boys and basically their journey, their relationship. And that's what Troop 491 was. And so basically, we were on set for 2 weeks. Oh, let me go back. You said the audition process and all of that. So I do remember my character was named Aaron Jones. He was 12 years old in the movie. I was 10 years old at the time when I was auditioning. I remember I had on a polo and some jean shorts when I went to the audition. I remember that. I don't know what shoes I had on. I had a polo and some jean short stuff. I don't even really remember what lines I had to do for the audition, but it wasn't too much. It was a big casting call though. Like it was a lot of people there because the audition process was in the city of Richmond, and they had professional actors there, but also just people in Richmond that were possibly interested were there too auditioning. So it was a lot of people there. So I was definitely ecstatic when I found out that I got the role. And so we filmed for 2 weeks in Richmond. And it was the first time I had really been on set for an extended amount of time with a lot of people my age that also were coming from similar, while also different backgrounds as me. So it was really fun just being able to build a relationship with those people. Like really felt like we were a family. And some of the people that I was on set with, I still keep in contact. As at one point it was daily, but now even if it's just weekly or a few times a month. But yeah, so I love being there because of the family environment, being able to be on set for 2 weeks and we're all working and getting paid, but at the same time, it's like we're just there to have fun. We had an overnight shoot one night, so we're in the woods from I think 5 p.m. to like 7 a.m. or something like that, filming things of that nature. We had to go hiking, had to go camping, all this other stuff. So yeah, it was just an amazing experience, doing things I'd never done before, meeting people I had never met before, and really building those relationships with the people on set, from the directors to the producers to the other talent on set as well.
Malik, I'm struggling with the fact that I am talking to a 19-year-old, and listening to the conversation is that when I broke into acting, I was in my 30s, and I know what life is like trying to rehearse and get lines, but also taking acting classes and trying to connect with my character of different experiences. And looking back over your resume, you played some heavy roles. Where did you pull that experience? I don't know what life is like in the household of the Hawkins, and I will ask Keisha first what life is like in the household and having a movie star in the house. What part of your life led to the experience that Malik had to pull from? And Malik, I'll ask you to follow up with your mother and saying, where did you pull all this energy? Because your roles were kind of heavy at a very young age. They weren't just like the cute little kid showing up. I've seen a couple of your commercials. That was a cute little kid. But Keisha, I'm going to turn it back to you. Where did all this come from? Where's his history? And for him to pull through.
I just think, for lack of a better word, Liq is just talented. He's had a very structured family dynamic. He's in a household with a mother and a father. His older brothers were here, but because Malik is the baby of the bunch, our oldest is 30, and then the next one is 25. So Malik has been home with us by himself for a long time. So we've had a family structured dynamic the entire time. He doesn't come from a hardcore background or any of those things. So some of the roles that he's played, he actually just had to dig deep and try to get himself in that mindset in order to play that particular role or part, because it definitely was not a part of his life. So I think it was just more so him using his natural God-given talent to deliver what it was they needed from him on set, to be honest.
Malique, all right. I'm going to throw the ball over your way.
Same question?
Same question.
Yeah, I would say, I mean, I took acting lessons at a young age. On top of, like she said, I do feel like God has just given me a little bit of a talent. But of course, whenever God gives you something, you got to work on it and nourish that talent, nourish that seed. So the acting lessons and just, I guess from experience, like as you do anything for a long time, you're going to continue to get better at it. So I guess starting from a young age, I already had to learn how to tap into a different mode for a certain role or something like that. So as time went on, I was only getting better and better at it. Even just being around other talent and seeing how they do it, or watching a movie and seeing how somebody like Denzel will change. I was never that person, but seeing how like Denzel will literally change his lifestyle to fit the character he has to portray for the 2 or 3 months before he's even on set and things of that nature. Even if I'm not doing that, I might have to tap into a different mode and change my personality for the day before I'm on set, or once I get on set, just know I have to be a whole different person for that moment. But yeah, I think it's just something that I've learned to do and get better at over time, basically.
Now, before I turn the page, because right now we're doing the intro to Malique, and we're writing your book as we speak. This is a live interview, your audio book to Malique, soon to be king. I want to know this because Hollywood, as my good friend, director and producer George Lee said, and he gave the advice to a young man that we had, Ninja Kyle. He's a young man that is going to be in the finals of Ninja Warrior, and he was going out to Hollywood to learn acting. And the first thing that George said, he goes, Hollywood is a bad place. It's not a good place for you to be in, so you've got to be grounded. There are a lot of roles that are going to come your way. Are there any roles that you will not take, no matter what the price is? And Dave Chappelle said, you've got to know your price.
Yeah.
All right. Are there any roles that will be presented to you with a large number behind it that you'll just say, I just can't do?
I haven't really thought about what that specific situation would be, but yeah, I'm pretty sure like if they presented me with something that just completely went against my morals and values, or something just way off the wall, then yeah, I would have to turn it down. So yeah, I wouldn't be one to just accept anything just for the money or anything like that. But for the most part, as long as it's nothing too crazy or nothing really against what I believe, I would go for it, because I like being able to try different things and do different roles, or be someone or portray someone that I may have never thought I would have to portray.
That's a good answer. What we're going to do right now, before we go on to chapter 2 of Malique's Hawkins story that we're telling, and everyone and my listeners are getting to know Malique. Malique is also what's called a clean rapper. I'm going to talk about his entrepreneurship. We're going to talk about a little bit what he's doing. But what I want to do right now is introduce Malique and his first song that he's releasing on Talking with Kevin and Son. And what's the name of this song, Malique?
This first song is called 2 Cups. It's song 4 off of my album that's releasing on August 27th.
All right, so I just want you to pull over a little bit. I want you to turn up the volume. And I've always wanted to say this, okay? Introducing, all right, Malique Hawkins.
When I seen her, it's like she just cast a spell on me. Finna drip her down, how my baby dripping overseas. And when her phone ring late at night, she already know it's me. Girl, you need a crown, you a whole queen. You know we never did things a certain way, we just did them different. Wanna live realist on my team, she fit the description. She gotta jump into them jeans, but shorty she gifted. And she let that thing shake while she doing dishes. Me in the game, we the new addition. Got a new coupe and I blew the brains. The roof was missing. Poppin' champagne before the game, we knew we winning. And if a lane wanna gon' split him like he superstitious. No matter how hard I try, they can't do it how we did it. No matter what I gotta do, my brother's always with it. Hey, it's the weekend and we lit, Liq from the peak up in the ville. So can I get 2 cups? Can I get 2 cups? Real smooth guy, I don't do too much. And I get so fly when I get booted up. And they can try, but they never gon' be us. Hey, 2 cups, can I get 2 cups? Real smooth guy, I don't do too much. And I get so fly when I get booted up. And they can try, but they never gon' be us. Hey, and now they never gon' be us. The way that I'm drippin', they thought it came from up above. I told her just listen, I'm really just tryna show you love. She asked when I'm gonna wife her, hit her with the shoulder shrug. Still remember when I ain't know who you was looking right in the club, I knew that you was the one. And now I'm tryna have some fun. So somebody just tell me, can I get 2 cups, different brackets, we moved up. And my heart been broken once, I'm not ready for new love. Unless it is true love, unless it is you love. And I don't really see no competition. When they see me winning, make them sit, they need some mozzarella. Thinking about the way that you did me, it leave me sick, it leave me in my feelings. So somebody just tell me, can I get 2 cups? Can I get 2 cups? Real smooth guy, I don't do too much. And I get so fly when I get booted up. And they can try, but they never gon' be us. Hey, 2 cups, can I get 2 cups? Real smooth guy, I don't do too much. And I get so fly when I get booted up. And they can try, but they never gon' be us. Hey.
Wow, 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 Mr. Malique. I'm going to tell you, RMK Productions, we have a morality clause. And one of the things I was so excited about is that I wasn't offended by anything you said. I listened to the words. And I always said that, you know, in my life, when I am happiest in my life, I hear the music. And when I am at my lowest, I hear the words to the music. I'm still baffled that this is coming out of a 19-year-old man, that you have made a choice to do clean music. Why?
Okay, so there's a few reasons behind it. I would say, first of all, my mom be on me about it. Like off the rip, when I first started making music, before she had even really heard my music, she was on me about it. But beyond that, it's way easier to market in terms of, even a situation like this, like something that stood out to you is the fact that I make clean music. And if I didn't, it wouldn't have stood out to you. Beyond that, in terms of getting radio spins, I've had 2 songs, one that I released and one song that's on the album that hasn't even been released yet, that have been played on the radio already. And it was easier to go ahead and get it to the DJ and everything like that with it already being clean versus having to go through and make a new version of the song, or having to make an edit of the song that won't really encompass the full vibe of the song because you're taking words out, obviously. So yeah, it's easier to market that way. And it gives me a space where there's 5-year-olds, 10-year-olds, 15-year-olds, 35-year-olds, 50-year-olds, 70-year-olds. Anybody can listen to my music. And I've had people of all ages tune into my music, and they've all been able to listen to it. And while there's people my age, of course, they're going to listen to it, but people older than me will go ahead and play it while they're around their kids, or play it while they're in the car with their kid in the car, because of the fact that they simply can, because it's clean. So yeah.
You are a breath of fresh air, because one of the things when we created RMK Productions, one of our goals was to be able to tell stories of people that we should know, not people that were celebrities, not people that were coming on the show in order to promote their projects just to put money back into their bank account. We wanted people that had a story that needed to be told, and people giving back to the community. And we also set a standard, is that, you know, I get so personally offended on hearing the way that N-word is used. And when I hear young rappers say that we're taking back and using the word as a term of endearment, I struggle with the fact, especially when I look back at the history. If you go back and Google Arkansas, the hanging tree, you'll find out when the slaves went up to Boston and were sent back down to the South, that 200 and I think it's 37 or 27 men and women were all hung from a tree. You chose not to go ahead and use that language, and I want to commend you to it. Not saying that, you know, we all have a right to speak, but we need to know our history. there's a lot going on in society today. Young people. When I look back at music and the relationship to current events, we look at the 70s, and there were protest music. We look at the 80s, and there were music about, love and relationships and respecting a woman. In the 90s, we picked up the beat a little bit, but there still was a message about, inclusion, keeping everyone together. But when I listen to the music of today, all I hear is the ching, ching, ching of the bank account. Why Malique is putting out music that is making a difference? Do you feel socially responsible for the content of your music, or are you just making music in order to, just to make sure that your bank account? And I already know the answer. So if I offended you, please go ahead and smack me upside the head. But go ahead.
Well, I'll say, going back to your statement, yeah, a lot of the music today definitely is that ching ching bling bling. But I think a lot of people are making that music because that's the formula. Like that's what's going on the radio. So that's what's gonna make them the bread. So when you're asking me the same question, I would say I feel like that's the reason a lot of people make that type of music, is because that's what's bringing in the dollars for most people. Whereas I think there's definitely a lot of rappers that I listen to that are still talking about that same positivity, or still talking about those messages and telling stories that you were talking about people in the 90s and 80s did. And so I think that's probably where it comes from for me, a portion of it. My favorite rapper is J. Cole. And if you listen to his music, you'll hear a lot of different storytelling and hear him talking about his past, hear him talking about what's going on now, all of that. And so I think that's a big influence on me. But beyond that, yeah, I don't know if I necessarily feel socially responsible. Like I have a responsibility to portray a certain message through my music, but I choose to do so regardless. And honestly, I just make music that I would want to hear. I hear a beat and I make what I would want to hear on it. And most of the time, other people want to hear it too. So,
All right. I'm going to ask you a question. And 2 days ago, I asked your mother this question, and I'll explain to you why. I was a gifted athlete growing up. I had an opportunity to chase my dream. And once my dream had ended on one level as an athlete, I found myself on the streets of New York. I was dressed one day, and I remember it like yesterday. I told your mother this story. I was in a black double-breasted suit. I had on black shoes, black socks. I had a red tie and a white shirt. I was carrying a tan Coach bag, and I was crossing the street of Radio City at 6th Avenue, and I crossed against the light. As I crossed against the light, there was a young woman that was white that clutched her purse, leaned against the wall, and the first thing she said, she goes, "I have a gun in my purse. Please don't hurt me." And I looked at it, and I'm going, what about me was a threat? So that evening, I came home and I called my dad. He was still living at that time. And I told him what was going on. And his response to me was, "Welcome to being Black." And it hit me, and I'm going, I didn't know that. He said, "I have been protected by the biases because I was an athlete. I was an educated athlete." I've asked this of many adults that have come to my show. And I don't know if you have an answer to it or not. I didn't ask your mother's response, but I did ask her permission to ask you this. And I want to know, when was the first time, if any, and share that experience with me, that you discovered you were Black?
I would say it happened at a young age. So until high school, I was always in private school. And so, by default, it was a predominantly white school. Well, not my first elementary school, which was predominantly Black private school. But then going into 5th grade through 8th grade, I was at a predominantly white school. And so I would say just being there and simply being around the Black people, it was just not that we saw a difference, but you could tell that the other people around us saw a difference in us just by the way they may have looked, or even the questions they asked us, or even how the teachers communicated with us and things of that nature. So I would say that's probably when just going through that process and to me, it didn't matter. To me, I was cool with anybody. I didn't care what you looked like. But you could see, and a lot of the Caucasian students at the school were the same way, because I had some of my best friends were Caucasian at the time. But you can still see how some people, it's just things they brought up, or even them making a comment like, "Yeah, my grandparents tell me I can't hang with people like you." Like, it's things of that nature. Or even a teacher blatantly being harder on me than on the person sitting right next to me. And there's only one difference. We wearing uniforms. We're literally in the same clothes. There's only one difference. That's the color of our skin. So I would say, yeah, going through that process definitely gave me a different experience. And that kind of continued through high school. Not that it was traumatizing or anything like that, but just being at a predominantly white public high school as well, you just see those kind of differences and they become more evident, you know, as you matriculate and go through.
Miss Keisha, I'm going to direct this to you. How did you prepare your children for this world we live in? Now, I know we talk about hope, creating um, hope for opportunities for people every single day. But I do know as a father, as a Black father, the conversation of releasing my kids into the world is much different than the conversations when white children are left to the world and going out on their own. What was the conversation of preparing your son for this world, even though he's going to be a successful entertainer, entrepreneur, and as a human being, you had to have a conversation. If you can share that, because I want people to know exactly the education that we receive outside of our government education. And then we're going to turn back to his next release and go from there. We're going to lighten up the interview a little bit.
I think basically we always told our boys, you're going to have to work hard. You know, things are going to be different. You may not be held to the same rules as others that don't look like you. Y'all can commit the same act, crime, mistake, whatever you want to call it. And, you know, if you're caught, well, whatever the case may be, your sentence may be a lot stronger, a lot longer, a lot harder than someone else that does not look like you. So just hanging out into the world, you need to keep that in mind that sometimes you're going to have to work harder. You're going to have to be better. When Malique was getting offered all of these scholarships, because he had over $1 million, 1.2 million, over 1.2 million in scholarship offers, over 15 college acceptances, something like that in 2019. And one of the questions I got from someone who does not look like us, and I'm probably not going to say it the way she said it.
Just say it the way she said it.
I don't know that I totally remember it because I thought it was ignorant. And so some stuff I just don't even let sit in my brain. If it doesn't make sense to me, or I feel like it was given in the wrong context, I don't even remember. But it had something to do with how did he get so smart?
Oh, man.
What kind of question is that?
Oh,
What do you mean?
That's just another bias that we have to overcome. Malique, let me tell you, that list is going to get longer. You're going to hear, well, you're not like everyone else. And my question is that when I hear that, what do you mean? Why? You speak different. Why? You carry yourself different. Why? I will give you a little advice, and I'm going to give you the same advice was given to me by my grandfather that only had an 8th grade education because he had to drop out of school to take care of his brothers and sisters after the passing of his family, is that in order to be equal to anyone else that's different from you, he didn't quite say it that way, but I'm saying it just for the show, you had to be 3 times as good just to be equal. I made up in my mind that I was going to be 10 times better because I had to compete against people on a global platform, and I was not going to give anyone an excuse to justify their own biases. They had to get out of my way. So I'm going to say, Malique, feel free to repeat this. Watch my smoke.
For sure.
All right. So we're going to take a break. And Malique, if you don't mind introducing your next single and tell us a little bit about it, and then we're going to go ahead and play it, listen, and relax.
All right, this next song is actually track 6 off of the album that's releasing once again on the 27th of this month. It's entitled Royal Rumble, and this song is actually special to me only because there's really 2 producers. Well, I would say there's like 3 producers I've been working with since I began making music that really invested in me from a time like when people thought I was making music as a gimmick or making music just to do it or whatever. Like there were a few certain people that I'll always remember that actually invested in me and took me serious before everybody else took me serious. And 2 of those producers that I have been close with and have been able to really build a relationship with, one who lives in Indiana, who I haven't even met yet in person, but we've been working together for over a year now, TikTok Pride, and another one Suburban Cam, who lives in Charlotte. They actually collabed on this. This is the first time they worked together on something, and they were able to meet through me because they both did things with me. I connected them, and they actually made this beat together. It's probably one of the craziest beats I've ever hopped on. So yeah, this is track 6, Royal Rumble. Shout out to TikTok Pride and Suburban Camp.
All right, listeners, let's have a peek at Malique Speaks.
Damn, Cam, you got another one. It's the intermission. I'm fly, self-stepping intervention. I'm paving the way if you pay attention. I get flyer than a flight attendant. You ain't on the way, mind your business. But we on the way, we surfing in it. Ain't trying to maintain, we breaking limits. They study our game, we walking timbers. Hey, we on the way, we on the way. We ain't trying to maintain, we trying to get to the 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 we trying to get to the I'm just a youngin' that's stacking these hundreds, but tryna get millions, yeah. When I say we going up, and we going up, I done blow up the ceiling. Don't gotta do too much, cause they know it's us when we walk in the building. Get to the bag, it's a must, and I'm falling in love, and no catching no feelings. It ain't no falling in love, and it ain't no catching no feelings. I'm tryna get me. I feel like I'm really the realest. I feel like I'm really the, hey, just tryna get, hey. I'm dropping these songs and I'm selling the gin. She make it clap and I'm making it rain. We going global, we going to Spain. Can't see the time, all the rocks in the way. The water look like it came straight from the bay. If he talking hot, then we busting his brain. Then he is not gonna have nothing to say. Did all the things that they said that I can't. Now they are not gonna have nothing to say. Now I hop on every beat and I blink. Now they are not gonna have nothing to say. I'm going crazy on the beats. The Royal Rumble better grab you a seat. Got hella unreleased, it ain't getting leaked. It ain't getting leaked, yeah. Me and Shorty got the chemistry. Me and you, it ain't no symmetry. And I'm higher than the ceiling be. Mind my business and I'm sipping tea. All we them boys is going global, but still rapping the city. Yeah. A lot of y'all be rats like Mickey and Minnie, y'all moving suspicious. I be cooking up and you just doing dishes. Went through stuff, but now I'm living different. My wrist be water, it's being Pacific. And I'm the one that's being specific. Making believers out the ones that didn't believe. I got some tricks on my sleeve. Top down and I'm feeling the breeze. Make hits like David Ortiz. The way that she gave me the brain, it's hard for me not to believe. We going insane. The way that she doing a thing, I might take her out to believe. I'm better in Spain. She tryna come to USA. Might take her to the Florida Keys. Got a girl in the A. Already know what they say. That's my little Georgia Peach. And we gonna eat. Somebody grab the plates. Cause we finna have a feast. And we said our grace. If you not here from beginning, then you will not get in the peace. Now you not getting the beat. You don't want the war, you really want the pee. Calling players like I'm free. Really in the field, I need some new please. Told Chaos in the beat, you know that I'm bringing the heat. Told TikTok, they gon' ride the way, give them a seat. Hey, hey, we on the way, we on the way. We ain't tryna maintain, we tryna get to the 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 we tryna get to the tryna get to the 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 we tryna get to the
You wowed me again and again and again. You cease to amaze me. Now we're going to lighten it up a little bit and have a little fun right now. Talk about two things. One, crazy entrepreneur, businessman. All right. And then, you know, I'm getting some feedback over here because he's got $1 million smile like Les Brown. I don't know if you know him, but he lights up the world. He's got a boyish charm about him that, you know, it's kind of romantic. He's a good looking kid, but I see where he got his looks from. Look at his mom. So, you know, there's a bunch of people want to know, does Malique have a girlfriend? Let's talk about your entrepreneur. And if you have anything, this is your opportunity. I want you to show us what you got. Tell us how we get it and what inspired you to start this business.
All right, so my business is actually a clothing line called The Movement Clothing, but it goes back to things we talked about earlier. So when I was doing the motivational speaking, I still do, but like when I first started motivational speaking, the topics I really talked about were social injustice, things going on in our world, from the racism to the suicide, bullying, violence, just everything going on that we have to face as young people, as adults in our world. And so with that came me wanting to be able to do something else about it rather than just talking about it. So when I was in high school, I guess around sophomore year, I had a phrase like, it's the movement. It was just kind of our thing. Like the people around me, we were doing something that we thought was cool or tough or whatever. It's the movement. It's the movement. And so it kind of picked up. Everybody was saying the movement. Like around Graduate High School, everybody was saying it's the movement. And so I figured if people were saying it, I might as well turn it into something positive, turn it into something that's going to be able to, you know, touch people in another way. And so I was like, I'll make shirts. And so I started off just making some black and red shirts just to give it a try. And people really picked up on it. And it was a way for me to be able to take a stand. So the movement clothing takes a stand against racism, suicide, bullying, and violence. And on all the shirts, it says no negativity, promote positivity. So yeah, we have some shirts here. We got them on too. But
All right, give us a second to focus in. This is TV.
no negativity, promote positivity. The tornado, because if we all come together to take a stand against those things, we can really make things move and shake things up how a tornado does. But yeah, so the brand has expanded from just black and red t-shirts to hoodies of multiple colors, long sleeve shirts, short sleeve shirts. I did visors for a little while. I had a few hats, wristbands, keychains.
I'm gonna get one of those because you know I'm partial to blue and white. We talked about it.
I got one for you.
I'm a member of Phi Beta Sigma, and it's a professional business fraternity, so it's all about business. So I'm a little partial to that, but I'm getting bugged right now. Get to the point. Get to the point. Does he have a girlfriend? Yes. Tell us about that relationship because it's very important. You know, you got a Southern upbringing, so I know you're treating someone's daughter right.
Yeah, so I have a girlfriend. She also goes to North Carolina A&T. I met her at North Carolina A&T, and yeah, specifically like this past year was a year I really had to lock in terms of like my grades and just really trying to find that direction of exactly what I wanted to be doing with my college experience. And so with that came her, and she was someone that was able to help ground me and just give me someone to really be able to like rely on, put some trust in, and be able to grow with together.
And that's all right. And since he talked about Carolina A&T, I'm going to tell you, you heard Miss Keisha Hawkins say that her son had over $1 million worth of opportunities to go to one of 5,300 universities that are in our university system, but there's only 107
HBCUs.
Yeah, I can't even think of it. That's my concussion talking. What made you pick Carolina?
So honestly, because of the school I went to, like speaking, this kind of goes back to the conversation we were having earlier though, but at my school, nobody was talking about HBCUs. If you said you were going to an HBCU, it's like, oh, like, that's cool. Whereas, you know, everybody wanted to go to the bigger PWIs in the state, like UVA, Virginia Tech, et cetera, et cetera. And the thing is, I got into all of those schools. I had scholarship offers from all of those schools. But first of all, North Carolina A&T blessed me with a full ride scholarship. So at that point, it was a no-brainer. But even before that, I toured the school, and that was my favorite college tour. I toured plenty of schools. That and University of Miami were definitely my favorite two college tours. And going there, seeing people that looked like me excelling, they were telling me, I was able to chill with a lot of the different students who were ASLs. ASLs are Aggie Success Leaders. So they run orientations and things of that nature, help with the new students. And I'm actually an ASL now. And I would say that experience, meeting the ASLs when I first went to school, is definitely something that really sold me on A&T, being able to talk to them and how easily I connected with 6 or 7 students that were sophomores and juniors. Just being there, I'm like, wow, I connected with every single one of them off the rip. Not even like imagine what's gonna happen when I actually meet my people when I go there. You know what I'm saying? So it was definitely that family environment, a sense of community, and the faculty and staff being there for the students, actually caring. Whereas at other schools, you would just be a number or just be a statistic as part of their database of thousands of students. Where A&T has over 12,000 students, but you can still feel like you're an individual and that they treat you as an individual, regardless of which number you are in that 12,000.
You know, and that's amazing that, you know, some of this conversation or the conversation you're having right now this conversation that needs to be had. I have said since we have come out of this social movement right now, and that we need to stop as a people sending our children to these universities that basically cheer for us and celebrate, our accomplishments on Thursday, Friday, Saturday nights, and then 4 years later, they vote against our freedom and our constitutional rights. And I often said, what would happen if 90% of our talented and well-educated young Black children all went to one of the 107 historically Black colleges or universities? What would happen? The landscape would change literally overnight. The attitude will change overnight. When I talk about a football player running a 4.4, does he run faster at a college that only wants him there in order to get alumni money? Or does he run just as fast when he's running for a purpose of representing his people? Education, and I say this, education is not designed to be comfortable. Education is designed to make you think, and I think that's, you are to be commended. There's a lot going on in your life, and I'm going to ask one question, because you have a movie that's coming out, again, another heavy movie. And I know you spent some time in the water, the Pacific Ocean. Can you tell us about your upcoming project that's basically, and this is the reason why I say you're the next Denzel Washington. So we've already given your Oscar speech. We've already given your mother's speech, because you're going to be a busy man. I'm forecasting your future right now. So be prepared. And I'm going to tell you this, don't be stupid when you get up there and forget where you came from. I'm not saying you got to be responsible for where you came from, but I'm going to tell you, don't forget, because the reason why I say this, because there is another young man that's sitting in a situation, or a young woman that is sitting in a situation that they are not going to be presented with the support and the opportunities you had with Mr. and Mr. Hawkins. But their dream is going to be just as alive. And I'm going to give you a little another food for thought from my grandfather, Joseph Phillips, the late Joseph Phillips. He says, when you get to a point that you can help someone out, it is your duty to do so. Reach one, teach one. Not each one, teach one. Reach one, teach one. You got to pull someone else out that's worthy of your time and provide them. I got my first acting break by a friend by the name of Peter Marks. He introduced me to a casting director on One Life to Live. I had no acting experience. And because I was young, dumb, and stupid, and happened to be cute like you, I got a contract on a soap opera. And I learned on the job because people gave me a chance. So you play a very heavy character. Can you tell us a little bit about the whole experience from the time you got the script, from the first time they submerged you in a swamp, and what the movie is all about?
Okay, so this is actually an interesting story, because honestly, I wasn't supposed to be a part of this film. The role just kind of fell in my hands, and I was blessed with the opportunity. Someone else had been cast to play the role that I played. And I still don't know what the reason is that they weren't able to make it to set, but for whatever reason, a few weeks before it was time to film, the role became open. And so because of that, I was the person they chose to fill that role. Blessed to have that opportunity. And so I actually got the script maybe a week before I got to set, if that. Like I think I really started reading the script and getting to know the character really like 2-3 days before it was time to start filming. And so it was kind of a quick process. And in reality, starting, I didn't know the whole entire story. So kind of like how you were saying, you had to learn on the job in terms of acting. I had to learn on the job in terms of my role while being there. So when I first got to set and I'm sitting with the cast waiting for my scene to come up, I'm asking questions like, what happens in this part? Like after we film this scene, like what's the next thing that's going to happen in the movie? Because I don't even know, because I'm just getting the script a few days ago. Whereas the other cast members that had their script for 2-3 months, they know exactly who their character is. They know exactly what all the other characters are doing. And me, I'm kind of just trying to have to figure everything out. So it was cool for me though, just being in that role, being able to meet once again, I love being on set and being able to meet other cast members, learning their stories and learning the stories of the characters. So Hope of Escape is actually following some slaves. It's crazy because the director of the movie, she's actually telling the story of her own great grandfather, who was the leader of this the main character in the movie is the director's actual great grandfather in real life. There's plaques like on the beach where we were filming, or the river. There were plaques like really detailing the same story that we're telling through our movie. So we're really on the grounds of the same history, telling that story through a picture versus just having it on a placard for people to read as they're walking by. And so it's following that. And my character is George Price, who is someone that was helping organize that initial escape, just trying to keep people on track and make sure, like, like we need to get out of here today versus tomorrow, or we can't wait too long, or they'll find out what's going on, everything like that. So yeah, it was great, but definitely something I had never done before was being in the water. We were really in a rowboat. We were rowing we were in the river one day. We were in a part of the Atlantic Ocean one day, really in a boat. The camera crew is on another boat. They're filming from that boat. It's another boat pulling us out there. It's another boat pulling the camera. Like, I had never been on set in that type of environment before, on such, I guess, like a high tech, I guess you could call it, type of set. So yeah, it was amazing. First of all, being able to tell that story, and second of all, being able to experience something that kind of was an accident. It kind of just fell in my lap. So yeah.
Well, I will tell you, Malique, you got to understand this. God doesn't make mistakes. There's no such thing as an accident.
Right.
It was meant to be for you to be in that space. And what's the name of the movie?
The movie is called Hope of Escape. It's still in production though, so it'll probably be about a year or so from now before it's actually released.
Will you promise to come back before it's released, and we'll do another interview?
Yeah, we can do that for sure.
All right. I just want to tell my listeners, this is not the last time you're going to have a conversation or get a chance to meet Miss Keisha Hawkins or her son, Malique Hawkins. And the reason why I'm saying that is because, it's one thing about our listeners that tune in is that they are people of call to action. And my show is all about connecting people and making their dreams come true. And we've done that with several of our guests. Malique, I have had conversations with my team, and we are actually, with your permission, and you can think on it, you don't have to answer it now, we're going to do a live event featuring Malique and his music. And if you want to bring friends in to promote your brand, it's not going to cost you a dime. We're going to do it on us. If you accept that offer.
I do. Thank you.
All right. So with that said, how do people get in touch with you?
Okay, so you can find me on all social media. So we can start with my Instagram, which is Malique Hawkins. That's my name, Malique, not a K. Malique Hawkins. Twitter, Malique T Hawkins, same spelling, just with a T in the middle. And then my music, you can find all of my music at Liq From The Peake. I'm from Chesapeake, Virginia, so I'm gonna always rep my city. So Liq From The Peake, Liq From The Peake, Liq From The Peake. That's on all platforms, from Apple Music to Spotify, YouTube, Tidal, anything you use to listen to music. You can find everything at Liq From The Peake.
All right, and Miss Keisha Hawkins, since you is his mom manager, how do people get to contact Malique? Because I know offers are pouring in like crazy. We don't want to distract him from his college education, which I know he does great with time management. And we're going to talk about that before we close. How do they contact you?
So if it's for music, because the music thing kind of came on the scene in 2019, and I'm always about building a team that can get behind us and help us do what we need to do. So the music piece is really not my lane. However, if people want to contact me, you can find me on social media under Keisha Hawkins. That's Keisha Hawkins, Hawkins. However, he is being mentored by Vega Dawn from Wu-Tang Management.
Whoa!
So,
wait a minute. Say it again. Did you say Wu-Tang or the Wu-Tang Clan?
Yes, Vega Dawn is part of the management team at Wu-Tang, and so, like I said, Malique keeps trying to get rid of me, but I am very connected. Like, I work this social media thing. So how he got connected to Vega Dawn. So basically, we've been at the same church since before Malique was born. We go to Gethsemane Community Fellowship Church in Norfolk. And one of the security guards there has taken a liking to our family. So he's always kept in contact with Malique. So when Malique left to go to college, every Sunday we were going to church prior to the pandemic, of course. He was like, how's Malique? How's Malique? How's Malique? How's Malique? And so, we would always tell people how he's doing. And so he started following me on Facebook, the security guard we're talking about. was started following me on Facebook, and he hit me up one day and he said, Malique does music? And I was like, yeah. He was like, I didn't know he was doing music. I knew he was doing the acting thing. I was like, yeah, he started doing music in 2019. So he started telling me that his brother, not his real brother, but we know how we have family,
Right.
friends we consider family. He said, my brother is Vega Dawn. And I said, okay, who's Vega Dawn? He was like, he's part of, who Wu-Tang? I said, of course I know who Wu-Tang is. He said, well, he's part of Wu-Tang management. And I was like, oh, okay. And so, a lot of times people say things and they
Yep.
don't come through.
Yep.
So I don't really get too excited until I know it's really official.
I know
So
that.
he connected me to Vega Dawn. We started talking, and Vega wanted to actually talk to Malique to see was he serious about the music, see what his thought process was, just see if he was mature, enough to even be somebody he wanted to put on his team because he's used to dealing with adults, not kids. I mean, even though Malik is 19, he's a kid in most people's eyes, our age, of course. So we tried to connect them, but Malik's schedule when he's at school is crazy. So trying to get a hold of him and trying to connect him to Vega just did not work. So I said to Vega, let's just make a connection when he comes home for break. So he was coming home for Christmas, for Christmas break. So it was 2020, December of 2020. We did a video call like we're doing now with you, with Vega. And, I kind of sat off on the side, let Malik and Vega talk just to make sure I was comfortable turning Malik over to Vega because I had never met Vega in person either. And so they talked, it went really, really well. And so finally Vega was like, well, I need him to come to my house and sit down and talk business. So my husband and I went in, introduced ourselves to Vega, and we dropped Malik off, so that they could do business. And so by the time we came back, Malik told us to come back. He had decided that he was going to partner with me. I say us, but the momager piece. My husband is the glue that holds all this together and get us everywhere we need to go. But business-wise, handling contracts and negotiating and all of that, I do that. That's what I've been doing. So Vega did not want to remove me from the momager role that I've played in his life because of the relationship that I've built with people in the industry, as well as he knows I'm going to have my son's best interest at heart. So he partnered with me. So we co-managed Malik on the music side because Vega has the music expertise. So if you want to contact me, I'm going to put you in contact with Vega for music. If you want to do the acting piece, you can definitely contact me directly because I still manage that particular piece. Although I've said so many times in this interview, my son doesn't think he needs me anymore. So can I back up just a little bit to Hope of Escape and how he got that role? So yes, the role was cast for someone else. Something happened with the cast member. And because I promote my son a lot, I never want people to think that I'm bragging, but I know that people have gotten their big breaks from social media. And social media is free. So I use it to the maximum extent possible. So I'm probably posting about Malik weekly. He says daily, whatever. Sometimes I do have to do daily, depends on what's going on. But when he's away at college, I don't always know what's going on other than looking at his social media. So I'm not posting about him as much when he's away at college. But when he's home and I'm directly involved with what he has going on, or I see what's going on, I'm going to post more. Well, this particular person, her name is April Marcel. Malik was actually on set with her when he was like 9 or 10 years old. But because I keep Malik out and relevant in the eye of people on social media, she's been following Malik since 9 or 10, and he hasn't done anything with her probably since that age. They may have bumped into each other again at some point, maybe around 14 or 15, but he's 19 now. So she had seen that I had been posting what he had been up to, and she realized that he was home. Because why? I posted it on social media that he was home for the summer. So she called me and she said, hey, we have a cast member that can no longer film Hope of Escape. Wanted to know Malik's availability, if he'd be interested. So I told her, tell me more about the project. I said, this sounds like something he probably really would like to do because he's never done anything like this before. But let me talk to him. That's the other thing. I never commit him to anything until I discuss it with him first and make sure, one, he's available, and two, that it's something that he's interested in. So that's how he got the Hope of Escape role, was because his mother is constantly posting about him. So people are able to follow him and feel like they're a part of our lives. I call it, how LOL stands for laugh out loud?
Yep.
LOL for me stands for live out loud, living out loud. So I use my platform, my social media, to let people know that there are Black families that are doing positive things and who are giving credit to God for all things wonderful that happens in our lives. And so that's how I use my social media. I do know that it gets on my baby's nerves that I post about him so much. But once again, it's not to necessarily brag, it's just to keep him relevant in people's minds. So when an opportunity like that comes up, they can go, oh, that's right. Keisha posted that Malique is home for the summer. And I know what he's capable of doing. This lady, the director, had no idea who Malique was. So when I had to call her after Malique had committed to doing the role, she said, I'm taking April's word about Malique because I have no idea, have never really done anything, he's seen anything he's ever done. But April spoke very highly of him and you. And so I'm taking her word for it. And where can I send the paperwork to get the contract going? So that's how he was able to get Hope of Escape and to be able to be a part of something else that he can add to his resume that gave him a wonderful experience that he was able to take part in while he was home from college this summer. So I'm going to be quiet because this is Malik's interview, but
All right. Well, I am glad you set this up this way. And Malique, I know what it's like to be a young talent with a star rising. And I know when you listen to it, as a young man, you think you know it all. All right. And then you listen to your parents, and your mother is now your momager, and you can't separate mom from manager. But let me give you a little advice, and it's up to you to take it or not. You know, put up your right hand. All right. I want you to think in your mind, you got 5 fingers on there. You have 5 individuals that are present in your life from the time you began your career until your career takes off, until your career ends, or the last days you're on earth. I want you to put a name to each one of the digits on your hand. Every last one of those people has a personal responsibility to Malique, not Malique the star, a personal responsibility to Malique. Anyone outside of that are called associates. They are attached to you for the simple fact that they have a commission that's due to them for whatever they're connected to. And when your star is no longer rising, you'll find out that you'll still have those 5 people. They will love you unconditionally. They're going to be the people that's going to understand the power of no, because once you start getting, contracts that are 7 figures and everything else, and you probably got that already, you're going to find out that you've got more friends than you have fingers on your hands. The people that are truly have your best interest to you will be the people that says, Malique, you can sleep on my couch. Malique, you can come home anytime you want to. When you get up there to the point that you're at this level, it gets lonely. I know as an athlete personally myself, you won't know who's your friend. You won't know if the young lady in your life is attached to you because of your stardom, or she's really there in order to accent your life and support you. But you always got to know that when your star falls, there's going to be someone to catch you, and they're going to love you no matter what. And you got to remember that. So, regardless of it, I want you to look at what LeBron James has done. He surrounded himself with 5 individuals that have known him since he was a child. He sent his best friend to law school. All assets or facets of his business are being managed. And I know a lot of people have their way and their feelings about LeBron James, but the thing is, loyalty comes at a price. It means 5 people have sacrificed their own personal life in order for you to have a life of your own. And LeBron James has returned that favor to them, that provided an opportunity to support what he has wanted to do, his purpose in life. And his purpose in life is to give back to his community. We don't give enough credit to those people that are giving back, and all we look at is the sizzles. So I can't tell you how to manage Malique, but don't forget who Malique is. All right. And remember, no matter what, if your mom says not a good thing for you, give it some thought. You don't have to agree with her, but she's got your best interest. And if mom, you get too deep into Malique's life, you got to let him fail. All right. You got to let him know that, life is hard, but you'll be there. Okay. Because you need to learn those lessons. You need to suffer a little heartbreak. You need to have a role that's taken away from you. I always tell every actor, the getting the role is not the hard part, is keeping the role. And that's the way it is. All right. Now, you've done something that a lot of actors have not been successful to do. You have a national brand that you're a voiceover for. So before we close, tell us about you being the voice and the character of one of the most successful toy brands out there, Beyblade.
Okay, so I've been working with Studio Center for a few years now, which is a studio in Virginia Beach, and they have a lot of good connections with some bigger companies who reach out to them for talent, for commercials or whatever they have going on. And so I first worked with Hasbro, I don't know, maybe in 2020 for the first time, and did a Beyblade commercial for them. Then, yeah, December 2020 was when I did the first one. Reached out and it went really well. I got to actually speak to the people that were the writers for the commercial and everything, and we, did everything. And then coming back home, they reached out again, and so I've actually been able to work with them 3 times. Basically, we have a relationship now, I guess. For certain commercials, I have the voice that they're looking for those type of commercials. So at this point, yeah, we have a pretty good relationship. And I've been able to work with them 3 times to go to the studio, quick 30 minutes, an hour, however long it takes, and get in, get out type thing. But yeah, being the voice of Beyblade, or being the voice of one of the commercials for Beyblade is definitely a blessing, and it's something I never thought I'd be doing. Like Beyblade, I remember my cousins used to play with Beyblades when we were younger. I never even really played with Beyblades at first when I was younger, but just seeing something that has been around for so long and being able to now be a part of their brand in a way, yeah, it's amazing. It's a blessing.
Well, I'm going to connect you with a couple of other people when we get off air. I'm going to give a shout out to Tosi Toys, Tosy. They at one time had created a product that Justin Bieber's were attached to, and I'm going to suggest to them that you are someone, if Hasbro has not committed to you long term, I'm going to complicate things and give you a raise and connect you to someone that, they gave Justin Bieber's a 7-figure paycheck in order for him to be part of that. I'm going to go ahead and challenge Hasbro to make a full commitment to you. For my listeners out there, if you are in a situation that you can add to this rising star and put jet fuel into his future, I'm going to ask you to reach out to Mr. Malique Hawkins. And how does someone reach you again, sir?
Once again, you can find me on social media at Malique Hawkins. That's Instagram at Malique Hawkins, Malique Hawkins, Twitter, Malique T Hawkins, same spelling with the T in the middle. And you can find all of my music on all platforms, as well as YouTube at Liq From The Peake, Liq From The Peake. Album dropping August 27th.
And see the way he said that. And then I'm going to actually promote Miss Keisha Hawkins. We're going to take her from mom manager, because I will tell you that there's some other young people with talent that has a star that has yet to rise yet. If you're looking for someone to manage your career and whatever, I'm going to put her in business full time. So if you're looking for a manager, I'm going to say reach out to Miss Keisha Hawkins. She's already got a star in the making. We're going to build her business and grow it, attach a talent to her one by one, and we're going to grow it organically. But make sure that whoever you connect her with is someone that's giving back to the community. Don't just send someone out there that's making noise. We want to send someone to her that's going to make an impression. Miss Hawkins, how do we reach out to you?
Okay, so you can find me on all platforms basically under my name, Keisha Hawkins, Keisha, Hawkins, Hawkins. I am on Instagram, Twitter, Facebook, LinkedIn. Oh, and also, since if I can plug my other business, I am a consulting. I have a consulting company called Faith Plus Works Consulting LLC, and I help families maneuver the entire college process, from choosing a college to finding a major, to figuring out how they're going to fund their education, to maneuvering the FAFSA process, basically everything. I just finished helping a family in Delaware. Her son is trying to get into his #1 college choice. I've been helping them every step of the way. Application was submitted last weekend, so we have our fingers crossed that everything is going to go well. But that is something I started in 2019 because I realized that so many families were in student loan debt, and it was like a generational thing. A lot of my clients, when they bring their children to me, they're still paying student loan debt. So I want to break that cycle of kids being in debt so far behind that by the time they graduate from college, they're already in hundreds of thousands of dollars of debt. So Faith Plus Works Consulting, I am very reasonable, but I am good at what I do. So if you want the opportunity to learn and apply my tools, roadmap to a full ride, I am definitely the one to contact for that as well.
And I'm going to say this to my listeners. The reason why Talking with Kevin and Son exists is because we wanted to show through example that the power of a strong relationship and that men of color are present in their children's life. My heart is heavy knowing my son is still doing battle with COVID. I am not going to stop producing this show, and we will welcome him back. We've covered a lot of information. We've told some very powerful stories. You have got to subscribe and follow. Write down this information because these are two people that you need to connect with. When you talk about generational wealth and education, use these two people as examples. Now, Malique, I've always asked this of every single client, every single guest that we've had on here. If you had one big ask, ASK, and you knew that you could not fail and it would all come true, what would that be?
I ask of the people that are listening right now.
No, your dream come true.
Wow.
Hey,
I
wait
think-
a minute, let me back up. Don't think small.
Sure.
All right. Ask for it all. God says you should ask and you will receive. Remember, I have a group of people. We don't look for people that just like and for the sake of like. People that follow this show are people have a call to action, people that are game changers, people that can make things happen for you. So if you were to write on a piece of paper, Jim Carrey did this once and put it in an envelope and his dream came true. So if you had one ask and we're putting it out to the universe, remember what I said, you and I are connected for a reason. I already see your future. Again, both you and your mother turn around. There's a picture of your mother holding a statue that looks like an Oscar. You've already given your Oscar speech. So we've already put that into reality. Your mother's already accepted your Oscar speech. BET Awards have accepted it. You've already got a Grammy. And I'm going to tell you, you're going to get on stage and go, damn, how does Kevin McLemore know this? And I would say, ask Bruce Fields. He's a major league baseball coach. I called him 2 weeks before he got an offer to come up to the major leagues. And he says, damn, how do you do that? I don't know how I do it, but God has connected me with people that have a strong energy. You have a gift, young man. The world is not ready for you. So I've given you the perfect setup. So ask big.
Okay. Well, beyond my music career, pop into the place where I want it to be, where I can have that big influence on people. My big ask would be for me to be able to really start a successful not management, but a management company that turns into basically a hub for young African American and all races talent, basically a place where through me, young people my age and younger will be able to take their acting talent, take their music talent, take whatever talent they have in the entertainment or sports world, and be able to come through me, through my hub that I create, to be able to reach their goals, whether that's providing them with the studio time they need, connecting them with other people in the music industry, connecting them with agents for booking and things of that nature. Just being able to be that person that's able to take the experiences I've had and be able to be the liaison, I guess, for many young people that are like me, going into their careers as well. That's what I want to do.
And Miss Keisha Hopkins, God, my ADD is kicking in. Keisha, I'm going to ask you the same thing because your management career just went up to another level. All right, and you've got your son there. All right, so I know your heart is filled with a dream for your son, and make sure he lands someplace safe. What would be your ask?
And think about this for me. Let's see. My ask. Well, it's kind of similar to Malique's. I honestly, I love helping people. I love being able to see people's dreams and things come true. So if I had an ask right now, my ask would be for someone to help me get my book published so that I can get back to public speaking and motivational for young people, inspiring young people. I don't want to start the interview over, so I won't go into detail about what my book would be about, but I have a testimony. And I believe there are many people who would be blessed from hearing my story, not Malique's story, but my story.
All right.
So I really would love the opportunity to be able to get my book out, to get back out on the the trail once COVID dies off or do whatever it's going to do and get back to motivational speaking and just being able to be a blessing to others. I would love to get my consulting business totally off the ground where maybe it could be funded through a grant so that I can help many families that need the information because right now it's for profit. But if I was able to get a grant or someone to fund my LLC, then I would be able to reach more people who really need the information that I have in order to share. So I think just someone getting behind me and funding what I need to do in order to be a blessing to other people. That would probably be my ask.
All right, Malique, before we wrap up the show, all right, I'm going to let you close this show. All right, we're going to play a little of your music in the background as you say this, but I want you to think long and hard. All right, and I want you to give some careful thought to this. There is a young man, or there's a young lady, or there may be someone that identity or sexual preference has not been defined, but they have a talent and they have a gift. And looking at you, they go, wow, I wish I could be Malique. You're an inspiration and an example of what hope is. I want you to leave them with a little takeaway and something to think about.
Okay. So the short answer, if you can't remember everything that I'm about to say, would be just do it. That's the short answer. And to go into depth with that, if you already know you have a talent or you have that spark or you even just have an idea of something that you want to be able to be good at in the future, all it takes is you taking that first step and starting to plant seeds towards it. My favorite Bible verse is Ecclesiastes 11:4. It's been my favorite Bible verse for I don't even know how many years now. Ever since I heard it, it's automatically been my favorite verse. But it basically says, whoever watches the wind will not reap, whoever watches the clouds will not plant. So if you're waiting for the perfect opportunity, or you feel like you have to wait until this falls into place or this falls into place to be able to go after what it is that you want to do or exercise that talent that you feel like you have, you're doing it wrong. You need to just do it. Even if you don't know everything, you can kind of figure out some things along the way. You get to do that initial research and just go for whatever it is you want to do. I know everybody says that, like, just go for it, but you have to really be able to take that first step. Like me, anything that I've been successful with, it started as an idea in my head, and within the weeks coming of that idea, I started doing it. Even if I didn't have it figured out, I wanted to be a YouTuber. I didn't have a camera. I have a phone. Okay, I'll figure it out. Started making videos, editing videos off my phone, all of that. Ran my channel up to over 1,000 subscribers in a little bit of time. I wanted to make music. I didn't have any producers to work with. I didn't have a real studio. Person next door to me had a studio in his dorm. Bro, let me just try this out. Let me see if I can record this. I thought I wanted to make beats. I bought a music production kit. I started making beats. Found out that isn't really what I like to do, but I found out that it's not what I like to do, or even got into the initial music piece where I'm at now if I hadn't started making beats when I was 14, buying that $90 kit. So yeah, it really just always goes back to just do it. If you have an idea, something, you have to start dropping seeds towards it as soon as possible. And eventually one of those seeds will turn into a tree. But if you never drop those seeds and never take that first step, you'll never be able to reach where you possibly could.
Wow, that's deep. And matter of fact, I'm going to say to my listeners, hopefully you pulled over on the side of the road, you were paying close attention. We have covered a lot of information, and we have learned not only where Malique started, but we're going to start following Malique to find out where his star is going to rise. I won't talk about the end because that's not near. We're just at the beginning. This episode has either enlightened you or has touched you in a kind of way, or the strong possibility it has changed the view from your window and the way that you see not only you in this world, but the way the world should reflect back on you. If you have not followed RMK Productions on YouTube or RMK and Network on YouTube, please do subscribe and follow. If you have not visited Spotify and followed Talking Wit, WIT, Kevin and Son, I will ask that you do so. Follow. There's a lot of education and a lot of stories to be told. Malique, again, how does people reach you? How do people reach you?
Once again, you can find me on social media at Instagram at Malique Hawkins, MALIQUE Hawkins. Twitter at Malique Hawkins, same spelling, T in the middle. And then all of my music can be found at Liq From The Peake, Liq from the Peake.
And with that said, I want to say thank you, and we appreciate all of our listeners, and all have a call to action. I want to welcome in Malique from the Peake, his fans and his listeners, to Talking with Kevin and Son. This episode is all about people you should know, and I hopefully beyond his music and his acting career, his entrepreneurship, and his professional risk taking as a influencer, that you've learned something. And Malique, I'll extend this to you. You ever want to come back, the door is open. All you do is call.
Thank you.
If
Thank
you ever have a friend that you think that you want to recommend for this show, the door is open. So subscribe, follow, and remember, and you can use my hashtag, find 1,000 reasons to be kind to someone. And as my grandfather always said, when you get to a position, and Malique, I want you to remember this, and you can repeat this, I don't own it. When you get to a position that you can help someone else, it is your duty to do so. Reach one, teach one, fade to black. This is the ending of Talking with Kevin and Son.